Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, this is sort of it's a sweet show, but in a way it's a little bittersweet because we are going to officially, here in about a week, say bye-bye to the 23-24 season. But here's what's great about it. It's kind of like when the spring comes every year, or the fall, or the summer, or whatever season you're into comes every year it's coming. So we're ending 23-24. We're going to celebrate the WILLCO Awards next week at the factory in Franklin for the 10th annual. But it does feel a little bittersweet to me.
It is bittersweet. And it's the 10th. I think that has something to do with it. But hey, don't be sad that it ended. Be glad that it happened. And that's the way we're going to look at the 2023-24 athletic sports season. And boy, we got a lot to be excited about.
I did want to say this before we get into our finalists, Tate. How about this stat for you? I think I mentioned it last week. Team state titles. In WCS, we had 6. It's pretty good. Listen, I was kind of hoping for 7, 8, 9, or 10. Runners up, 8. 14 times we were the champion or the runner-up.
Yeah.
That's a pretty, and keep in mind now, Page moved up. Remember, they won track last year.
Right.
So it's not like they could win track also. So we had some move up twos. And here, let me tell you what else is coming. For those, and listen, I know you guys act like it's not true. Look at me here. I know you're in another.
Zoom in.
I know you're in another district acting like you're not watching this. You're watching. When we add lacrosse,
yes,
you folks are in trouble.
So I was going to say, lacrosse, which will be a sanctioned sport this year, add 3 more state champions.
Maybe 4.
And then
if Page ends up in that
that's right,
smaller division.
And add 3 more state champions and a runner-up, right? So now you're to 9 and 15.
Now I think we're adding 4 state champions because we're going to win boys and girls in both those divisions.
Correct. Yeah.
And we'll have
runner-ups.
2 more runners up.
And we got 2 more runner-ups. Yeah. It's, oh my gosh. Now we're in double digits on both.
May have to shut this. It's kind of like, listen, if you know how college sports is turning into pro sports. You know, they talk about the WCS and let the power conferences be, and we're already a power conference.
This is the SEC, the super conference.
And nobody else is getting in.
No, you're not getting in. Thanks for playing. We do need some non-district games.
Listen, I'm very pro WCS. I'm the WCS athletic director.
Well,
I've got to be pro us.
Of course you do. Well, I mean, it's like if you have a kid and your kid's one of these nominees. Obviously, they're very good. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your.
No.
Should be.
In no way do I compare myself to a John Ward or a K. Wood Ledford, 2 great broadcasters in the SEC, one Tennessee, one Kentucky. But when you listen to a UT game growing up, Tate, was there any doubt that John Ward was a Tennessee guy?
No, he was all orange, man.
That's the way it ought to be.
His blood runneth orange.
That's the way it ought to be.
That's the way it ought to be. That's right. Exactly right. It should be. You're the voice of the Vols or the voice of the Wildcats. Now, when you're doing it for CBS or ESPN or whoever, you're not supposed to. But yes, of course, all Vol should be, all WCS and should be. Hey, have you got? I know you have. You're a planner. You got fitted from the fellas and ladies at Street Tuxedo.
Street Tuxedo, great place. They've been there the whole time.
Rumors, little 10th annual theme, maybe in the tuxedo choice?
Our attire will have
a 10th.
It'll have a theme.
A 10th theme. Like it. I'm excited.
Appreciate Street, but they've been there the whole time.
The beginning.
Walker Chevrolet, they've been there. Really do appreciate those folks. The factory at Franklin, what was it, year 3 maybe? It got moved. It was already moved by the time I got here as the basketball coach at Franklin. So first 2 were at the Franklin Theater, which was a great venue, but it
outgrew it.
We don't want people calling in about tickets and boycotting and doing some things that they were doing.
Got a little heated. The former district athletic director had some tough conversations. But a great venue.
Great venue. I'm telling you now, Liberty Hall, I think we're going to be okay in there for a while.
I do
But
too.
still, it's going to be tough.
And we've talked about it. We won't spend a whole lot of time on it before. But if you haven't been there lately, get out there. There's tons of new restaurants. And I mean, there's literally something for everybody. There's a big open space in the front, and you can literally just scan the code, and you can order Edley's, and I can order Mojo's, and Miss Barb can order White Alligator, and Miss Jennifer can order
That's right.
Utaku Ramen, which I don't think she would, but
The
there's-
pronunciation game, that was strong.
there's something for everybody. You've eaten it all of them.
Well, and here's the thing, too, that I'm excited about. You know, in the previous years, it was people are going to be there. We need some food trucks. Not needed this year.
Not needed. Come in, check a little bit out of the red carpet special if you know when your young lady or young man's coming through, and then you can go eat, come back. You know, there's plenty of time and plenty to do if you just don't want to have to sit there the whole time. But yeah, get there early, make a night of it, take your significant other on date night. You'll have fun for sure.
Hey, and for the moms,
Jenny's ice cream for dessert, 5 daughters. I mean, it's what more? Donuts? Is there anything else that we need?
Daddy's dogs.
Daddy's dogs. Forgot about that.
It's a good one.
The cheesery, great grilled cheese.
It's great.
It's great.
Hey, and for the moms and dads that might be watching, maybe you're a guest, it's Black Tie Fair.
Yes.
Now, does that mean that everybody's got to wear tux as well? No, but you dress up. Don't wear jorts.
Right. Or flip flops.
No jorts.
Flip flops.
Or as the former director of schools in this district used to say, your shower shoes. Don't wear those.
That's great.
It is. Hey, let's get into the finalists. That's what people really want to hear about
Yes.
today. The finalists. We're just going to go right down the order. We're going to start with fall. So the fall and winter sports finalists. We'll make sure we get everybody recognized here, and then I'll get maybe your take on some of these takes.
Okay.
So let me tell you the 4 finalists in girls and boys basketball. On the girls' side, Cecily Brandamore from Franklin, Mary Elizabeth Fox from Page, Ella Ryan Brentwood, Leilani Washington from Nowensville. On the boys' side, you got Daniel Cochran from Brentwood, Tylen Lewis, Jet Montgomery from Independence, Davis Long from Franklin. Pretty strong group there, Tate Mathews.
Strong group. One thing to keep in mind, and you stress this to the voters, this is not a career award.
Not a career
It
award.
is a 2023-2024 individual year award, okay? So yes, doesn't matter. That doesn't come into it. Supposed to not to, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so anyways, a lot of great single season performances there. And I thought both of these categories were very, very strong. Another thing that's not supposed to bleed into it is, for example, I don't know, only you know, Davis Long. He plays multiple sports. Well, all the success he had in a soccer player is not supposed to bleed over into basketball. And I think he's up for soccer player of the year too. Anyways, this is a basketball 23-24 award. So let's just start with basketball. I thought this one was really, really tough. Don't you?
Yes.
You know, and so let's just start off with the beginning. You got Brandamore from Franklin. Well, she did something that nobody else on this list did, averaging a double-double along with 52% shooting from the floor. And I think she was on the least talented team of the 4 represented. So, you sit there and look at that. You look at the performance she put on through the entire season. Hey, man, 3.9 points per blocks per game to go with that. I can see a case for being girls basketball player of the year. So then you got Mary Elizabeth Fox, okay, right, with what she did with Page. Unbelievable season there. Ella Ryan was a all mid-state. I believe she was a Miss Basketball.
No,
Not even a semifinalist?
that's what surprised us.
Yeah, that
Remember
was
that
tough.
that was
That's
kind of the Jet was on the boys'
Yeah.
side, and we thought, yeah, that can happen. But if you would have told me one of our players, I would have said her.
I think the more regional news sources thought so too. I think that was a surprise to everybody. Leilani Washington. How can you argue with what she did? 14.7, 3.1 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 2.87 steals. Played great defense. So the girls is really, really tough. And then I think some people maybe think that boys is a given. Daniel Cochran was voted by the coaches as the region MVP or the district MVP.
That's right.
So you got Daniel. You got some people will tell you Tylen Lewis was the guy that was the hardest scout the entire year. Davis Long, we already know about him, and then Jet Montgomery, Mr. Basketball. Every year, seems like finalist and then leads them to the state tournament. So really tough categories.
Here's the thing to keep in mind too, and try to educate the voters on this. It's the entire season. So what ends up happening, take Daniel Cochran. He was MVP of the district, but that was voted on before the district tournament.
Correct.
Now, you also look and go, well, I mean, he did okay. He took Brentwood to the state tournament. Accurate. So it's like, but then you go, but Independence won the state tournament. We hadn't had a winner since 1989. So it's going to be interesting to see how these shake out. I'm like you.
Well, and
you can make a case for all of them.
You make a case for all of them. But I love the way that you do it, and I know it's very intentional. But right, if you vote, it's all state, things like that. Those are voted for regular season. Well, a lot of things changed in the postseason. And not only did you allow the postseason to happen, you allowed the entire postseason to happen, right? There was probably a time in the postseason where you say Tylen Lewis was having the best tournament. Towards the end, especially the last game, well, that was Jet. I don't know. There's a lot.
And do the Indy guys take each other's votes?
I mean,
there's only one way to find out.
There's only one way to find out.
If you're not going to the event, you'll be able to live stream.
That's right.
Thanks to
Actually, there's two ways.
WCTV.
You can attend live or you can live stream. Yeah, that's two ways.
Well, I think
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I said there's only one way if you're not going.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I missed that part. That's
which
correct.
is two ways.
Or follow one.
X. Okay.
We're not predicting, right?
You can if you want to. I'm not going to predict.
It's up to you.
I'm not predicting.
Okay. I think I think there's going to be an upset. No, I'm not going to predict because I really don't know, but some people are going to think I know. So, no, not predicting. Tough.
But you think there might be an upset?
I think there could be.
Whatever that means.
Yep.
All right, let's go to bowling.
Let me receive.
A perceived upset.
A perceived upset.
Girls bowling, you've got Samantha Daly, Brentwood, been there multiple years. Eleanor Haskins, Franklin, Ashley Johnson, Independence, Leah Rovey, Page, her team had the best team. They were in a different district than most of the WCS teams. Then on the boys' side, you've got Seth Doris from Centennial, Houston Falks, White, Stigall. That one's pronounced a little different. And then Gabe Rossi, Nowensville. So here's the question. Take the boys' side, for example. You've got Falks who had the best year. There's no question. 215 average. But then you've got Gabe Rossi who finishes 17th in the state tournament. He goes further at the end. How does that go?
And Gabe also had the game high. Now, again, it's a season event. Well, I mean, a 256.
That's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable, man. I don't even know if you can have an open frame. Obviously, there's a couple
Look at
spares
you bringing
in there.
some bowling knowledge.
Yeah, but I don't even think you can have an open frame to get a 256. You can have a spare or two to get a 256. Yeah, and then, hey, you go over and then you look at – I tell you one thing that I do like about on the girls' side, 4 different schools represented.
I like that too. So
it was Brentwood and Franklin, but now everybody's kind of getting into it a little bit.
And we're going to see that not happen in tennis here in just a second.
Correct.
But it's interesting. People have their thoughts about that because I hear about it, which is okay. Do we have a maximum of 2 per school? Do we have 1 per school? Which I understand that. But if the 4 best are from 1 school, what are you supposed to do? What you're saying, Mr. Mathews, is you think it's cool that the 4 best were 4 different schools.
Yeah, because you can see bowling is growing in the county.
Growing.
And, it was Brentwood and then it was Franklin and then it's Ben Franklin, but you can, and really everybody else down here, you can see the level of competition is rising with the popularity of the sport and the other schools getting more and more serious about it.
Cross country, finalist. You got Lauren Banavac, Brentwood, Gabrielle Boutros Page, Janie Halterman, Independence, Claire Stegall, Independence, Nowensville. Boys side, Felder from Brentwood, Oates from Independence, Raymer from Ravenwood, Vaughn from Brentwood. Now, you got a state champion on each side.
Yeah.
So Janie Halterman, a lot of years, you're like, she's shoe-in to win. She was state runner-up. Not so fast, my friend. Claire won the whole thing, and then Raymer wins it on the boys' side. So in these cases, you would think the champion would have an advantage, but hey, the voters have to vote.
Voters have to vote. Generational, I think, is fair with Stegall.
It's
Janie
incredible.
Halterman, not only would she have won the state championship had Claire not been in the race, it was really a really impressive performance as well. So I don't know. I don't know where that lands. I got to think that maybe some of the voters think, and it shouldn't, but I think maybe some of the voters maybe think Claire's got a really good chance at track and field, maybe even athlete of the year. So kind of hard to go against the state champion who pretty much anytime she runs, she wins. And then you mentioned Miles. And by the way, where's old Miles going to continue his academic athletic
Where
career?
is that, Tate?
Up on the hill, up on old Rocky Top.
Good luck to you, Miles.
Corn don't grow at all.
Hey, let's talk some football, Tate. Now, you take a look at those.
Oof.
We've got defense, offense, and then player of the year. Man, there's some names. Player of the year. I thought this was cool that he got in here. Wendell Billingsley, Fairview.
Yes.
We said him a lot during the season. I'm glad he did. Not only is he on there as defensive player of the year, he gets a nod for player of the year. You've got Baylor Hayes, the QB at Brentwood, Eric Hazard and Dominic Reed, both Mr. Football finalists. Eric from Page, Dominic from Centennial. Then you look at defense and offense. For defense, you got Ains of Page, Billingsley of Fairview, DJ Curl of Centennial, Max Orafici
Hey, DJ,
from Brentwood.
can I get a wings up?
I'm going to give you two.
2 wings up. Good job, DJ.
Offense, Cunningham of Page, Hubbard of Ravenwood, Merrill of Brentwood, again, Dominic Reed of Centennial. There are some dudes. And that's one thing I like doing when I look at these. I'm helping organize this and putting the ballots out for the folks that vote. And by the way, I'm not telling you who votes before you ask.
Not doing it.
How would you like to do this for free? And then people like rail you about it. Not happening. But it's a good group.
It's a good group.
But I like looking at these, and there's some dudes in here.
Yeah.
I
Big time.
I think it's tough. I think you could guess all three and be wrong on all three.
I think you could too. Well, let's just start with defense. You have a player of the year finalist who is a primarily defensive player who's not on the defensive player of the year list from Page. And that's Eric Hazard. But you got Brennan Ains, Wisconsin commitment. It's pretty strong. But you look at it. And so then, you look at both he and then Max from Brentwood is they both, no, Page went the farthest. So you look at Brennan's stats. He did play the most games, but still they're mind-boggling. 99 tackles, 23 tackles for a loss, 8 sacks, 3 interceptions, 3 defensive touchdowns, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. Then you mentioned, and then this kind of the same thing with Centennial as well. You got Dominic Reed, who he is an offensive player of the year. He's up for Mr. Football, but he could have been in there on for defense. And then you got DJ Curl, wings up to DJ, 120 tackles, 27 tackles for a loss, 45 solo tackles. 45 solo tackles is really, really strong. He was kind of like a linebacker end kind of guy. He's more of a line, you know what I'm saying? That's really strong. 7 sacks, 1 interception. You got Orafici from Brentwood, 13 games, 149 tackles. Do the math on that. Are you doing the division
It's about
in your
10,
head?
about 10 a game, right?
5 tackles for a loss, 2 caused fumbles. Region Defensive Player of the Year. All right, so, we're all in this region except for Fairview. That's voted on by the coaches, right?
Right.
So the coaches voted him the Region Defensive Player of the Year. Interesting. Well, no, I guess Ains is on there too, so that'll be interesting.
But he was in the larger class.
Yep. So that one's going to be a really tough one. And then, of course, Wendell, 116 tackles. I mean, he really did it all. I think one thing that I loved about him is when you saw it through the year, just always around the ball. Great nose for the ball. Offensively, hey, I'm going to start with the explosive stuff. Let's look at Ben Hubbard. I think he ran, a 23-mile or 22.7 miles per hour on
You love the catapult
on the
system.
catapult. Yeah, not as much as Coach Hester, but I do. That thing's flying. That's with full pads on, okay, on grass. He's as excited as anybody out there. 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown. He was the 6A Offensive Player of the Year. 78 catches, 8 TDs, 1,006 yards, right? Explosive. Clayton Merrill, Little Merrill, which there's another one coming, by the way. But Walker's little brother, he had an explosive year. He could do it in the passing game. He could do it handing him the ball, kicking, returning. But, man, and then Dominic Reed, okay, 34 touchdowns. That's kind of hard to argue with. But I'm going to tell you now, at the end of the year, and especially that playoff run, Ethan Cunningham, 222 carries, 1,279 yards, 18 touchdowns. The guy was playing as high of a level as anybody that I saw all year. I love Ethan Cunningham. I have no idea. Dominic Reed, how do you argue with that? But I'm just telling you, man, I think that category is closer than people think.
It really is. And think about, and we could say this about all these categories. Think about some people that aren't in there. Think of Zion Tamaska.
Dang right.
From Nowensville, great player, who's not in here. So lots of really talented individuals who didn't make these lists. Doesn't mean they weren't worthy.
That's right.
Let's go boys and girls golf. Obviously, on the boys' side, you get Brentwood, who wins it all.
Yes.
So they end up with 3 guys on this list. Doyle, Johnson, and Dasso, who's a 2-sport athlete, also plays soccer. Then you got Will Pinson of Franklin, who tied, he was third at the state tournament. And then on the girls' side, Paige finishes as runner-up. You got Bennett and Diaz, but then you got Holly Hake of Ravenwood, Isabella McCutcheon from Centennial. So these categories were dominated by the best teams.
Correct.
And they played longer, obviously.
They played longer, and kind of the same thing that you were asking about the Independence boys basketball guys. Do they cancel each other out? I mean, you look at Bennett and Diaz. It's tough to pick between those two.
It is.
So do you say, not but you know what I'm saying?
And we voted before the school days event, which Diaz just won. That's
right.
That's a big time.
Big time.
That's a big time tournament.
Yep. And then the same thing on Brentwood. 3 of the 4, that's strong.
And that wouldn't count anyway, by the way. School days, that's not one of the school
Correct.
events. Even though, if you know.
Right.
If you know that,
It's kind of like
you're going to not vote on it if you know it
on a
exists.
jury, but you're not supposed to read the paper or.
Yeah. Girls soccer. Let's move to girls soccer. We got Lexi Grundler, Ravenwood, state runner-up. Mia Hassan, Franklin, really had the best team throughout the year. They go to the semis, end up getting beat by the eventual. They both got beat by the state champion. Maddie Podolsky, who's on Team USA squad. I mean, that's pretty good. Summer Riley of Summit, another talented group of young ladies.
Well, and then look at, it shouldn't have anything to do with it, but it just goes to show the eye for talent. Grundler's going to Michigan State. Podolsky's going to Alabama. That's a really, really loaded group. Team USA, not supposed to count, but boy, that's hard to. I think that's kind of hard. I think that's pretty influential right there. But, the thing I love about Grundler is the goalkeeper play. You know, it's kind of like quarterbacks. They don't sign a whole lot of them. I don't know how many goalkeepers Michigan State signs a year. I'm guessing it's 1 or maybe 1 every 2 years. That speaks a lot to me about how good she is. And she had an unbelievable season. They get runner-up. And she's the goalkeeper. That was a big part of it. But, all 4 of them have a lot to have a big argument.
And watching her catch the ball in flag football and her instincts.
And go get the ball. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just wondering, in the future, you see, I know my guys at Kentucky, they like basketball players.
Yep.
I'm talking about the football guys, and they like wrestlers. I'm just wondering at some point in soccer, especially for like a goalie, if you're not going, I like what she does in flag football.
Athletic.
Definitely a good athlete. All right, volleyball. Here's one that if you would have voted before the tournament, I don't think they would have had 2, but they go all the way to the state championship game.
Agree.
Nowensville.
Yep.
Allred and Knox are finalists. Alex Chordick from Summit, and then Daisy Oatsfall, one of your favorite multi-sport athletes in WCS. She gets it done in volleyball. She gets it done in track. She's also a finalist there. Another great – listen, if you are the volleyball player of the year
in this county?
In WCS, that's strong.
That's strong. And I'm assuming you're kind of talking about both Nolensville and in also the run Oatsville went on. And if you remember, Brentwood had a great run in the tournament, but she really kind of stood out in that run for Brentwood. But yeah, Nolensville should have known, but it was kind of looking like, oh gosh, they've kind of really taken a few steps back. They get in the tournament, made a huge run. Maggie had a great career. Kara Knox had a huge career. That's the thing I always look at. Think about, I feel sorry for the stat keepers of Wilco volleyball. Maggie, 328 kills. Knox had 516 kills. Alex had 448 kills. Like you got to be on your A game. So Summit, I think there's a big case for Alex on this, but who knows, man? You got the two Nolensville ones. They've been the best program, had the best finish. Daisy Oatsville might be the best athlete in the whole county. It's a tough category.
Summit, if you take a look at wrestling, categories dominated by that school, Summit,
yes,
is what I meant to say. So on the girls' side, you've got Samantha O'Leary from Summit, Taylor Parkhurst from Summit. On the boys' side, Landon, been there like several years in a row. Braden Leach, Jarvis Little, McTorrey from Nolensville also on that list. On the boys' side, all state champions.
Yeah.
Here's what tells you something about that boys' side. Brentwood, you could argue, had the best team year.
Yes.
You could argue that. They don't have one guy on the list.
No.
But that just shows you how strong it was because all these guys were state champions. Spencer Kahn didn't make the list. He was state runner-up.
Yeah.
Rash Yazdani from Brentwood, state runner-up, didn't make the list. So it was just a tough list to make. Also, let me say these two, Evie Manji from Centennial and Emery Wilson from Ravenwood, rounding out our wrestling finalists. Yep. Wrestling is a sport.
On the rise.
We keep climbing.
And we've had state champions. Most years we've had state champions on the girls' side. Not this year, but Samantha O'Leary with the highest place, with third place at Summit, and that was third place. So I think that one's a little bit more open. But you look at the boys. Not only are all of them state champions, two of them are multiple state champions on the same team. But some people would say Trey McTorrey was the most dominant wrestler this year. Again, it's a 2023-24 year. I believe didn't he get most outstanding match at the state tournament? I think he did.
Was that the state tournament? Anyway, it was either that or the sectional, one of the two.
He got something, man. Unbelievable season. How do you go against Landon DeSalle? Good point. I counter with how do you go against Jarvis Little? You know what I'm saying? So, and then Braden Leach comes in and gets the state at 150. Do some people look at, there are some people that know a little bit about wrestling that are on the panel. Do you say, well, yes, but this class, the one, when you start and this is not a case for Trey McTorrey. This is just showing how tough it is. When you start getting up into 175-pound class, some of those guys are really 200-pounders that came down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you're wrestling some grown young men when you get into that class. So that's a tough one, man. That one, I think you just, and by the way, you don't get any points for this, but is there any chance that DeSalle does not get the best dressed of the wrestling finalists?
Assuming he can be there because he's Ohio State.
Oh, he might be gone. Well,
could be gone.
But if he's there, it'll be flamboyant for sure.
He'll have the
it's
nice.
Gonna be tough.
He'll have the glasses. Kind of shades, no pun intended, of our man Clevenger, who would always come in with the cowboy hat.
And we know who will have the cowboy hat this year. You man Hazard. Don't disappoint me, Eric. Don't disappoint me.
Love that guy. Hey, cheer and dance. I want to mention them too. Not a lot of stats to share, but as part of their being a finalist, they had to talk about school spirit and GPA and things that they're involved in outside of their teams. It was an impressive list. These young ladies have a definite impact on the spirit of the games. And let me tell you this too. athleticism.
Dang
Don't
right.
kid yourself. There's some athleticism here. Ella DeSalle, Alex Frank, Macklin Friend, Taylor Grace Robertson, the first two from Ravenwood, Franklin Summit, those are cheer. On the dance side, Mary Kate Anderson from Brentwood, Caroline Collins, Kennedy Sakarapine from Franklin.
Very good.
And Rhea Whitlock from Centennial. Nice group.
Not supposed to care, but Coach Whitlock, he's one of the boys, been here forever. That's his daughter. Congratulations on the finalist, Coach Whitlock. Rhea obviously gets her rhythm and her athleticism from her mother, but that's pretty awesome. You mentioned that. I'm glad you did, because I don't think that's really a criteria that's held to the other sports. But one, you have to be a very good athlete to be nominated in one of these categories. Two, you have to be very well-rounded.
Very well-rounded.
So, great athlete, but stinky student, or not so good of a person, you're not making this list. I don't know that we don't have any of them, but I don't know that went into boys basketball player of the year. So, seriously, man.
Well, and the stats are more obvious
Right.
in the other sports.
Well, you have empirical stats with. Right.
That's right. All right, let's talk about our spring sports, Tate. Jumping to spring. Connor Caserta, baseball. Connor Caserta, Page, Chase Clater, Nolensville, Saxon Roberts, Independence, Dawson Sweeney, Nolensville. Obviously, the theme there, Nolensville with 2. They are state runner-up. I like that Caserta got in there. And let me tell you why.
I do too.
His team was at the bottom of the district. They finished tied for 7th with Franklin. But he had a great year, well-deserved to be in that Final Four. So, and listen, that didn't mean Page had a bad team. They were 6-15 in a great league.
Great league.
But I like the fact that he got in there. I thought that was a nice nod by the voters.
Great nod. And he had a really good year. I mean, you look at his stats, and there you go, stats. It all gets backed up. But I mean, in this league,
Tape don't lie.
tape don't lie. The eye in the sky don't lie. 438 batting average, man. Throw all the rest of them out. You batted 438 in this league? Strong, man. Chase, we know about that. That's still very big on our. That's still very fresh on our minds. And then also Dawson, the run that those two had going into the runner-up finish, and 4A to Farragut. Both of them are very well-rounded. And then, I can't say this because I don't know enough about it, but I do believe some people would probably say, and he had the stats to back it up too, that Saxon Roberts might be the most talented guy in the whole district. That's a tough category.
He was the most pubbed going in too.
No doubt.
Roberts was. Boys soccer. Now, I know we keep saying this, but this is definitely one when if any of the 4 win, you would go, oh, okay, that makes sense. You've got
I can't wait for you to flex on this one. This is going to be good.
Jack Boring from Brentwood, Adrian Biasima
That's so great.
from Nolensville, Will Keeney from Ravenwood, Davis Long from Franklin.
Yep.
Look at those accomplishments. You take Brentwood, they were the best team during the year. They didn't get it done in the tournament. Again, it didn't mean they choked or whatever happened. It's just they didn't get it done.
Didn't get it done.
So do you go, okay, Will Keeney, his team makes it all the way to the state championship. Maybe I give him the nod. Or do you go Davis Long, big upset over Brentwood. His stats are pretty gaudy. And then Biasima, he plays for the 7th seed who knocks out the number 2 seed in the first round. What do?
You got a case for all of them. Jack Boring, it's probably the only time they'll see this, headed to the University of Louisville. L's up instead of L's down, just for this show. Can we give him an L's up?
No.
Never? Okay.
Jack, I hope you do great, but no.
Okay, I'll give it to you. L's up, Jack. You mentioned what Adrian did.
Listen, if Alabama had a whatever, you wouldn't be doing that.
Probably not.
Okay, so let's before I get totally thrown under
But
the
I'm
bus.
setting you up so you can come back with it a little bit later. You talked about it. Davis Long, hey man, I don't care if we're playing in the Trenton, Peabody, Hardin County, Hickman County, Adeletville dump.
I like
league.
you always throw Hickman in there.
I don't care if we're playing in the Adeletville Youth League, okay? You scored 24 goals in 15 games.
Yeah. And
That's
he
a heck
had
of a season, man.
the hat trick plus one.
I don't
against Brentwood.
think his parents would care. Here's another thing I'd like to say. Does Davis do anything else?
Well, he used to play football. He was a kicker for a while.
And does he do anything else?
He
Oh,
plays
that's
that.
right. He plays basketball.
Oh, I thought you meant besides the two. Yes.
Soccer is one of those sports. It's all of them, but soccer is one that there are some people out there, some influences out there that would tell you if you don't play soccer year long, you can't be successful. That wasn't the case with Mr. Long.
Definitely wasn't the case.
That's a tough category. 24 goals in 15 games, though. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
And again, in this region, district, that's a lot.
Softball.
Another tough one.
Adriana Callahan, Page. Maddie Creasman, Nolensville. Sydney Dickinson, Nolensville. Anne Marie Richards, Summit. So again, Nolensville, I'm not saying they weren't deserving, but making the state tournament and being the only team, just like Nolensville with baseball going to the final, had to have an influence. And you know what? It should.
It should.
mean-
And this one wasn't even really close. District, the
Undefeated.
number one. District tournament,
Didn't lose.
region tournament,
Rolled.
state tournament. Hard to argue with that one. Now, you're right. They don't cancel each other out, but that you can't really pick. I'd love to know, is that on here? I'd love to know who the team MVP was. Coach Patton maybe doesn't give one. I don't know that I would. But either one of those, I get it. You look at Adriana's at Page, you look at her stat line. Holy cow, man. Like, there's nothing she didn't do well this year. Broke many single season records. Oh, by the way, she's got a 4.32 ACT with a 4.32 GPA with a 34 ACT committed to Stanford University.
I love that.
It's awesome.
I love that. And, and some of it's interesting, because I've talked to some of the voters, and I'm not saying this should matter, but because it's what did you do in the season. Who you commit to sometimes tells the voters something like, well, if they think,
Yeah,
then maybe I ought to think.
And even if it shouldn't, it does.
It does.
Don't think it doesn't matter. And then you look at Anne Marie Richards. I think this is awesome. Most people would go with the home runs. I'm telling you, I think the most exciting thing in a softball game is when they try to steal the base, the catcher pops up and throws them out. She threw out 10 batters.
10.
In high school softball, that's an arm. That's also some accuracy. So, and there was a time when we thought we were wrong, but we thought maybe Summit might be the best team. They weren't. Nolensville was, but tough. And then Sydney Dickinson, literally probably the most well-rounded of all of them.
I need to correct you here. You
I did.
were wrong.
Oh, I thought we were on this together.
Well, Nolensville, I knew.
Yeah, you never wavered. That was on me.
I'm just trying to listen.
No,
so a lot of times I need shots, but the NOLO people know I was in.
Fair's fair. Fair's fair.
But I've been wrong too.
Yeah,
Just not about that one.
not about that one. I was.
Hey, let's go to tennis. 7 of the 8 finalists.
You mean the Brentwood?
The Brentwood Awards. 7 of the 8 finalists, but they won everything, including the girls' singles
Yes.
at the state level and the boys' doubles. So on the boys' side, you got Evan Lee, Drew Miller, Stephen Smith, all of Brentwood. Carter Terry, I'm glad he got in there from Fairview.
Back up, Terry.
So Carter. Carter Terry.
What is he doing?
Carter Terry is the runner-up in doubles, which was great. Partnered up with Sam Frank. He played #1 singles for Fairview all year. And then on the girls' side, again, the best 4 players in the district. Maya Ballet from Brentwood, Vivi Huddleston, Emsley Meyer, and then the singles champion, Evelyn Reisner. So I think Evelyn's got a shot.
Well,
Also the district champion.
I have no idea. She's the district champion, the district MVP. She's the state champion. She defeated the back-to-back state champion. I have no idea, but I have no idea how you top that. If she's not, then I don't know that some of the voters read everything. Fair?
And let me tell you something, our voters can read.
They can read. And I tell you another thing. Going to the boys, this shouldn't have anything to do with it because it's changed. But, Fairview does not have a long-standing history of tennis. Right? I just think, man, what they did and what he did this year and bringing the state doubles runners up back to Fairview.
It was cool. And I love his partner.
Oh, of course.
Sam Frank, top 4 in wrestling.
We've got some good ones, but the multi-sport, boys and girls, the multi-sport athletes, you start talking about a wrestling tennis combo,
and very good at both.
Very good at both. My guess is, I wonder if all the tennis players know he wrestles, because if they do, I bet they're like, hey, man, don't mess with him.
If he calls it out, go with it.
This next one's tough.
It is. Girls and boys track. Let's take a look there. Abby Miller, Daisy Oatsfall, both from Brentwood. Again, I like this nod because she deserved it. Lauren Sloan from Fairview had a great state meet. Claire Stegall from Nowensville.
Pretty good.
Miss Record Breaker herself. On the boys' side, Hudson Elaine from Brentwood. Cannon Kinder from Brentwood. Now, we'll talk about this in a second, but you're like, okay, maybe it's Hudson or Cannon, but, Cannon won the decathlon. That's like right. The one. Donovan Starr, Ravenwood, he wins the high jump and the 100. That's a pretty neat combo. And then Sterling Weldon, who's been Mr. Everything at Nowensville. Great, and tough categories.
All right, let's just cut to the chase.
Okay.
Claire Stegall, 4th fastest in the nation. She broke the record again. She won the 800 and the 1600. The only reason she didn't win the 3200 is she didn't run it because she was going to run in the 4x4 and the 4x8 with her teammates. Okay? She's the state record holder in the 800 and the 1600 and the 3200. Daisy Oatsfall, she gets number 2 in the pentathlon, but she also gets a state championship in the long jump, right? Yeah. So no, high jump. Excuse me. Gets number 2 in the long jump. She's also in the 100 hurdles, the 200, the 4x1, the 4x2, the 4x4. So she probably does the most.
She probably finished 5th or 6th by herself.
Yes. But state record, dominating performance, don't know how you... And Abby Miller comes in, hadn't been practicing the pentathlon. She finishes 3rd. Okay?
Behind
Daisy Oatsfall. Lauren Sloan, state qualifier for the pentathlon. She plays 1st through 3rd in the 100 hurdles, the 300 hurdles, 200 meters. Okay, Stegall, man. Okay, then you get over here on the boys. This one now, Kinder is the state champion in the decathlon. He's the state champion in the pole vault. Okay, so state champion. Hudson Elaine, 200, 400, both relays. He's got the most. Sterling Weldon, unbelievable career, long jumper, triple jumper, 100 meters, was in the relays. If he's in any other district, right, but probably not this one. I think Elaine's accomplishments speak for themselves. But, man, when you talk about winning the state championship in the 100 and the high jump.
That's pretty good.
That doesn't happen. And I wish I had it. I'm going to look it up. The 10.56, I think that's faster than the D2 state champion. So he's the fastest guy in the state. And, oh, by the way, he jumped the highest on the high jump. Hudson Elaine, man, anybody who voted for Donovan Starr, I get it.
I get it too.
I get it, man.
I get it too. I really do. Hey, the last year we'll be doing this as a pilot, but we're going to recognize flag football too.
We should.
Because we were the ones in terms of piloting. Addison Gourday, Centennial. Lexi Grundler, Ravenwood, who, by the way, knock off Page, their only loss of the year in the championship, and Coach Rathbone said she dominated
Best
the game.
player on the field.
Savannah Meek, Page, if I'm not mistaken, she had a pick 6 in every game.
Leading up to it.
And then Addie Sullivan, Fairview. So, again, 4 deserving young ladies. Is it regular season and tournament? We say it's through the tournament, but Paige made the final. So, you give it to the champion. It's going to be interesting. They're the favorites going in, Grundler and Meek. Have to be.
And I think some would say Meek had the most impressive regular season. Grundler had the most impressive postseason tournament. Who knows?
We'll see where it falls.
We'll see where it falls.
Hey, some other awards for that night. We've mentioned a lot of these folks, obviously, throughout. The Female Athlete of the Year will come down. It'll be Grundler. We're talking soccer. We're talking flag. Oatsvall. We're talking track and volleyball. Podolsky, dominant in soccer. Stegall, cross country and track. On the boys' side, Hudson Elaine, who you just talked about, very dominant in his sport. Davis Long, soccer, basketball. Jet Montgomery, dominant in basketball.
And state champs.
And Dominic
So is
Reed.
Hudson Elaine.
Dominic Reed, basketball and football. Man, tough category.
And both sides of the ball.
Tough categories.
Hey, I know what I think, but how much does playing more than one sport play into your thinking and your voting on the Athlete of the Year?
It varies by voter. It really, because I've talked to them about it. Some say, hey, you're really, really dominant and you get your team to a certain spot versus you're very good or maybe even dominant at a couple of sports. It's interesting. That's why I think it's a cool award.
All right. And then let's define athlete. You want to take it a step further? I'll give you one. Who is a better all-around, hey, put a ball out there, roll a ball out there. It doesn't matter what ball it is. Who do you think out of those girls is probably going to win? Claire Stegall or Daisy Oatsvall?
Daisy Oatsvall.
Okay. Claire Stegall, man, she might be the best athlete she might be the best runner in the country. There's some gray area in there. I think I know. Male Athlete of the Year. I'm talking if you're going out and you've never seen any of them and you got to play a game of cornhole, right? And I mean, it's for all the marbles here.
Wait, I've never seen them, or I'm talking about who could step up?
You've seen all these guys in their arenas, but hey,
Davis Long.
Davis Long. I mean, because I just think he's one of those kids. If a ball's involved,
he's
going to be successful.
He's like, you say it all the time.
He's like Billy the Kid Whittemore.
He is.
Yep.
And you know what I like about both those guys?
Humble.
Man, are they ever.
Never know it.
Are they ever. They really are. All right, let's talk about these coaches and teams of the year real quick, Tate. We got Michelle Doty, Brentwood Track. Female Sports Coach of the Year, Luke Patton, Nowensville Softball. Rob Patinas, Brentwood Cross Country. Kristen Young, Brentwood. 3 from Brentwood. We got 2 champions in there and a runner-up. On the male Sports Coach of the Year side, you got Coach Troy Bond. I love that he got a nod here. I love that. And I don't mean nod like not deserve. I mean he got the finalist. In his last year coaching, takes Brentwood to the state tournament. Nobody thought that was going to happen. That was cool. Zach Hudson, baseball, goes to the championship. Charles Rathbone, Page, what do? Again, they go to the championship. And then Mark Wilkins, Independence basketball, first since 1989. Man, some great coaches, going to be tough voting there.
Of all the sports in Wilco, I think the one that's the hardest for us to win a team championship in is boys or girls basketball. So Coach Wilkins and the Eagles do something that haven't been done since '89. But if we're talking about the best coaching job, I don't know how you go against Troy Bond. He did, and this is not a knock. They had some things that went their way. He did less with more than I think anybody on there. Bone, they were so close. By the way, they're going to win the gold ball this year. And then Coach Hudson, they go and probably the second hardest thing to win in, I think, is probably baseball. You go over to the female, Kristen Young. What she did is unbelievable in tennis, right? Patinas, state champs.
And didn't lose a meet.
Didn't lose a meet. Patton, great run in softball. Doty, it shouldn't go into it, but make no mistake about it. In this category next to her, it says state runner-up. But if you don't think her fingerprints were all over that boys' track state championship, you're incorrect or uninformed. Tough categories.
Very tough, and some great coaches. I love that.
Yep.
That we recognize them.
Yep.
Now you're talking teams of the year. It's pretty much the same, but there's a couple of differences. You got female side, you got Brentwood Cross Country again.
Didn't lose a meet.
Brentwood Tennis.
Didn't lose a match, right?
Page Golf and Ravenwood Soccer both end up runner-up. Pretty good category. Boys side, Brentwood Track, champion. Independence Basketball, champion. Nolensville baseball, Page football, runners-up. So to be a finalist in these two, to be at least runner-up in a team, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable what's happening in WCS. Again, great teams. Media students are going to be recognized that night, too. I want to mention them, Tate. Lincoln Campbell from Page, Ryan Cantabine from Independence, Anna Ray Jones, Franklin, Logan Sparrow from Nolensville. I love what those students do with media. You see it all over the place, but not like here. There's always students on the sideline, and they're filming and taking pictures, and I love that about here, and I love it about young people. There's great careers in these areas, and some of these young people can go right into one of those
right
careers.
now. You can hire them right now, and they're better than what's in the professional market, and it's a great category.
Great category. Some others we'll mention that night. Student Athlete of the Year will be recognized. You mentioned the multi-sport athlete, male and female, will be recognized.
Love that category.
John Mayer Builders, another sponsor that's been there for us. They give a $5,000 sportsmanship award, which is incredible. It's not necessarily the best on your team, but it's someone who's a great sportsman. People on the team love them. Could be male or female, another great award. Sponsor of the Year, Courage Award, somebody that's had to overcome something. And then the Director's Cup. We used to have 2 divisions. Now it's 1.
Yeah.
I mean, when you read through
Not
here,
a whole lot of suspense.
it's tough. Hey, and this will be live streamed that we talked about on WCTV, so we appreciate the folks, Mr. Producer and his crew, for helping us out with that. Tate, I cannot wait. Looking forward to it. Got a few things to tie up between now and then, but Tuesday night, June 18th at the factory.
It's right around the corner. The hay is almost all in the barn. Get there, make a night of it. I promise you, you'll have a good time. The other thing you can always think, an added incentive, plenty of parking, but there's going to be a lot of people there. So
A lot.
the earlier you get there, the less of a parking situation.
And parking's getting tougher down there.
It's getting tougher.
Tate, looking forward to it.
It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a great night.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.